Hey leaders, Mario here, and I'm back to introduce a new leadership law, the Law of Process. The Law of Process states that leadership develops daily, not in a day. It also equates leadership to investing because leadership has the potential to compound. However, there are no successful day traders in leadership development. What matters most is what a leader does daily for the long haul. The most effective leaders spend most of their lives building. If you continually invest in your leadership development, your leadership assets will compound and the inevitable result will be growth over time. The secret in a leader's success is found in his or her daily agenda. What can we see when we look at a person's daily agenda? Well, we can see their priorities, passions, abilities, their relationships, attitude, their personal disciplines, their vision, and their influence. A question frequently asked is whether leadership is something a person is born with and naturally possesses, or something that can be developed. I can confidently say that leadership can be learned. These qualities just listed encapsulate more than just a person's innate personality. When a leader relies on personality alone, there is a tendency to take shortcuts because they want people to like them as opposed to affecting change, action, and success in the people that are around them. Remember that good leadership is always bigger than one person. The ability to lead is a collection of skills that can be learned and improved. The people with fewer gifts who dedicate themselves to the law of process will always lead better than those who have loads of talent but never take time to develop it. Remember the many facets of leadership like respect, experience, emotional strength, people skills, discipline, momentum, and timing. That list goes on. Leadership is complicated. That's why leaders require ongoing development to be effective. One of the greatest things we can do as developing leaders is to embrace the law of process. Let's connect now on this law of process for just a few more minutes. I absolutely love the law of process, but it hasn't always been that way. I remember wanting the compounding effects of leadership received over 20 years, but wanting it in 20 minutes. Even now, sometimes I find myself wanting a quick fix for something I know is going to take time to develop through. A common problem for both new and seasoned leaders is overestimating the importance of an event and underestimating the importance of process. I can think of several instances in a leadership role where I was hoping that an event would affect the change I desired to take place, a meeting, a training, or a conference. But I've learned it takes more than just an event for something lasting to take root. It takes a process. The Bible tells us in Psalms 37:23 that the steps of a righteous man are ordered of the Lord, which means that God works with us step by step and not in an instant as we would like. I'm not undervaluing events. I appreciate them because they serve a great purpose. I've learned that an event can be an effective catalyst. Just think about your salvation. But if we want lasting improvements, if we want the impact of influence, we need to rely on the process. God sent Samuel to anoint King David king over Israel in Bethlehem, the event. But David still had to go through Adullam and Hebron before he was crowned and began reigning in Zion, the process. The Lord took David's life through developmental seasons of growth or process to ready him for his purpose. Consider the differences between an event and a process. An event encourages decisions. A process encourages development. An event motivates people. A process matures people. An event is a calendar issue. A process is a cultural issue. An event challenges people. A process changes people. An event is easy, a process is difficult, which is the primary reason people walk away from it. But we lose the impact of influence and significance when we skip the process. There was a time that people wanted to crown Jesus king before it was his time when he began doing miracles amongst them. The Bible says when Jesus perceived that they were about to come and take him by force to make him king, he departed again to the mountains by himself. It was because he understood process, and he knew that they were going to have to cross him before they crowned him. But look at the influence and significance of his life. He understood the law of process. What a great example. Hebrews 12:2 says, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. If I need to be inspired to take the next step, then I'll attend an event. But if I want to improve, then I'll engage in a process and I'll stick to it. There's nothing that compares to the context we gain as we develop through the law of process. See, it takes time for the little things to add up to become big things. It's easy to get discouraged when we don't see leaps and bounds in our growth. But we must understand that most changes occurs over time. The process is what God uses to refine and prepare us for his purpose. Here's what I know about living the law of process. Nothing from your time to your experience will be lost when we trust in the Lord and embrace the process. Let me challenge you with these last thoughts on living the law of process. Number one, what's your plan for growth? What will you commit to and reflect on daily? I recommend you select something that will help develop you in advance and place it on your calendar. I do this to commit and be intentional about investing in my development. Remember, the secret of our success is not in what we do in a day, but in what we do daily. Number two, one thing that great leaders do is invest in those they lead. Just like we need a growth plan to improve, so do those we lead. And we can take ministry groups or employees we lead at work through leadership books or just books in general that develop, bring in trainers or mentor people one-on-one. Anything that works to help develop people from the inside out. Remember that development must always be bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. Whichever way you choose to make it happen, make providing opportunities for growth your responsibility as a leader. Number three, as ministry leaders, we can create a culture of growth. When people in our sphere of influence know that personal growth and leadership development are valued, resourced, and rewarded, growth will explode. That kind of environment brings it attracts high achievers and people with great potential. Look around you next time you're sitting at church. I guarantee you that they're sitting there. Until the next leadership law, lead well.